Yo, 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 what up? Trucker Chubby Man here, man, with another one, man. Y'all know what time it is when y'all hear that truck horn, man. So, Floyd versus Tank Davis. Floyd versus Tank, that's what y'all see. Yeah, that's what it is. We know this is protege versus the teacher, teacher versus protege. Whatever's going on between those two, man. To be honest with y'all, I think that this is just a setup to be the fight of the century. I may be over exaggerating a little bit when I'm saying that, but this could be possibly the biggest fight ever. You know what I'm saying? And it could be leading up to that. I'm taking the bait right now and putting my opinion, although it's not going into the narrative or taking either fighter, either businessman or fighter side. Um, but just trying to explain and relate to where I could relate to and put my opinion upon that, right? And when you're looking at this as me as a casual boxing fan, and I proudly say that because you got to know where you stand with sports. You got and I believe you got to let that be known and vocalize that, because if not, then people may look at that and say, okay, he's a well-known, sports person, but look, just because I'm truck sports with Trucker Chubby does not mean I know everything about every single sport or everything in that sport, right? Now, with boxing, and the reason why I'm saying I'm a casual boxing fan is because I don't watch the boxers who are not known. Like I'll know a boxer if they fight a boxer that has a little name to them. Like I didn't know who Lamont Roach was before he was announced to be fighting Tank Davis. You know what I'm saying? So therefore that makes me a casual, right? Because people knew he's 26 and 1 and 1. Like had I not been a casual, I would have been known about Lamont Roach. I'd have been talking about him maybe 3-4 years ago. You know what I'm saying? What I'm saying? Like so, it's the truth. It is what it is. And I don't lie, and I like to keep it real with my audience and people out there. So I think this is coming from a casuals part. Like this could be leading up. It could be a whole publicity stunt behind this. There could be a lot in that, and everybody's taking a bait. However, from Tank side, because Coach Calvin posted had signed with Mayweather, and we don't know that to be true. That's speculation. He had Calvin. I don't believe Calvin had to come out and said that he signed with that. But had he did, let's say he did sign with them. That could feel like betrayal from Tank Davis' part, because they came up together. He used to sleep at Calvin's job. Calvin kept him out of the streets in Baltimore from not getting killed, like so a lot of his friends did in Baltimore. He got GTD, and you gonna sign with Mayweather. If you was gonna go under in the umbrella to start training other fighters, why not be under the GTD brand and go and train these fighters? You know what I'm saying? Why you gonna do it underneath somebody who we try kind of bumping heads with? You know what I'm saying? Because at that point, I don't know what's going on between them two, but I will say that because it can't be a coincidence that there seems to be a lot of fighters that grow to a certain point that reach superstardom, and they always have something to say about Mayweather. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what's going on with that. I mean, we've seen it multiple times. This is not the first time we've seen a fighter disgruntled with the way that Floyd runs his operation or whatever he's doing. This is not the first time, and this is me being a casual. And if I'm a casual, and I can say that, I only can imagine with somebody that is in the boxing world and that just focus all on the sport of boxing could say about how he handles his business and runs his operation, right? Because I've noticed it with Devin Haney a little bit. I noticed it with I want to say I don't want to really say Ryan Garcia too much, but Adrian Boner, Tank, um, and I will say that Adrian Broner, he had the making to be a superstar. I think he ran through a lot of money, and I'm sure if he had the time to do it over again, that he would advise to be different. And I think that he is a huge influence on Tank Davis and what Tank does. So I think he may be giving Tank some good advice, and I hope that he is. You know what I'm saying, on how to control. You know what I mean, and being there, because I think Tank looked up to Adrian Broner at one point in time. Matter of fact, I think I know that from all the research that I've been in, and but you get to a point where you feel like you outgrow your teacher, where you feel like you know everything, and you know it, and sometimes you got to go out there and bump your head and find things out on your own without somebody, you know what I'm saying, holding your hand. Sometimes you got it. The best way to learn is walking through the fire yourself, um, and to be able to build your own bridges. Sometimes, you even burn a bridge, and to be able to build and rebuild one, and that one that you build, that structure on that, you're going to know how to keep that structure from ever collapsing again. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes that's what happens. You burn a bridge down, and when you rebuild it, you build it stronger than ever. And that's just how we learn as people, as human beings. But I think that this is just I don't read too deep. I want, and knowing how this media is, reading too deep into what's going on with them too. But because I know this could possibly be a big money grab, and if there is something that's going on between them, then hey, they need to have that man to man conversation. You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes you get people out here who say they're not emotional, but how could you not? How could you say you're not emotional, man? And I know this really don't got nothing to do, but this is just something that's real about to say. How could you not be an emotional man when you grew up without a father? And you know, what I mean, your mom or a woman was a matriarch of your family, and you're not an emotional man. Like, stop it, stop it. You know what I mean? Like, but and then when you have that, you can't communicate with other men. It becomes a problem. Communication between men is crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like, say what you want about women and how they're super emotional creatures, but they communicate and they're gonna tell each other exactly how they feel, whether they get along with it or not, or whether they like it or not. They're gonna say what they feel like to each other. You can't do that as men. You can't do that because now you get the E word, emotional. Yo, you just emotional, dog. Because you tell him like, I'm just keeping it a buck with you. If you say certain thing to me, I'm going to react a certain way. But you know what I'm saying, there's a whole stigma with that, bro, and it's kind of crazy when you think about it. Because if I don't say, you know what I'm saying, I'm going to react a certain way on what you're saying, and I just act on it, then I'm wilding or something else. So it ain't easy. It ain't easy being a man. But with this whole thing, man, I think it's just something that a lot of people's overlooking, and it's kind of overshadowing his fight with Lamont Roach. And I think with Lamont Roach, like I said before, I think that I don't really know if this is something an easy fight for Tank or not. But what I will say is that I think this is Baltimore, DC don't get along. The fight's going to sell because they just don't get along. Baltimore and DC dudes don't get along in real life, right? They get along. They train. And this is a Baltimore guy that I think in large part looking at this is saying that I'm about to help I put a DC guy on. And you know what I'm saying, somebody who's worked extremely hard deserved the opportunity and didn't duck me, and I'm about to put a DC guy on, and that's saying a lot within our culture if you're really looking at that like that from that point of view, right? You get in Tank Davis putting Lamont Roach on, which is from DC, and giving them a helping hand up, like, bro, like, let's get this bread. We two professionals and bridging the gap. And that's what that's looking like. Because in that building, you're gonna have a lot of Baltimore guys, and you're gonna have a lot of DC guys in there. And there probably may be a fight or two that break out in there. I hope it don't. You know what I'm saying? Because I hope that they looking at this like a chance to say that we stronger together, and you know what I'm saying. If we come together, then we can accomplish more. And I think that that's what they're doing. Because when you look at it, Baltimore and DC got the best lightweight fighters in the world. That's the way that look at this shit. Like, that's huge. Super featherweight Lamont Roach moving up in weight to fight the lightweight Tank Davis. Want the 35-pounder Davis. Like, that's huge, bro. That's huge. They have the best fighters. Lamont Roach is 26-1-1. Yeah, he took an L, but Tank Davis undefeated from Baltimore. But there's two fighters, two great fighters from damn near the same area. They right around the corner from each other. Period. and that's dope. And I think that's what we should be focused on with that. Him helping hand, and that's what he's doing, looking out for him. Whether he win or lose, there's no loser in this fight. Period. This is a win, and that's the same way I look at him as legacy. And you know what I mean. But when you take a L in boxing, it's almost frowned upon. But I think it's starting to change because Lamont Roach got a loss and a tie, and he's not looked at as a loser. So you know what I mean. But I think if it was like Tank the loser fight or something, we'd look at that different. But the super fights, for me being a casual, before I get on up out of here, I would say that the super fights need to happen in order to resurrect the sport of boxing, to keep it where it needs to be. Every boxing match should make money like Jake Paul and Tyson. And it was a clown fight. It was an exhibition made up fight, but look how much money that made. Look how much guaranteed money that made. Netflix put it on their guarantee. Everybody you have to have a Netflix subscription to watch that, right? To watch that fight live, right? Easy. You already paid for it, your monthly fee, and now you get a great fight, bro. On top of that. Crazy. That was genius. That was genius. Some people probably only went and bought Netflix, spent your $16 to get a fight. Like if fights was $20, nobody would ever bootleg it. If a pay-per-view was $20, nobody would ever try to bootleg anything or anything like that. Watch parties, all that. That'd be out of the question. I'll spend $15. Was genius. I think it was a genius move what they did with that. But every fight should be like that to me. I think, those are the fights that a lot of people want to see. A lot of people want to see Shakur versus Tank, Shakur Haney, and whoever. The people want to see good fights, bro. People want to see those big name fights. And that's what you gotta give it to him. You know what I'm saying? Take it from like Vince McMahon. Take it from Vince McMahon. Learn from him and what he's did. Entertainment is a huge part of what's going on with that, especially in the ring. Entertainment is everything. Entertainment is everything. Period. But you know what I'm saying? Like I said what I needed to say about it. I think that's the way it go. I see where the betrayal could feel like from Tank. I feel like I addressed the part where Floyd Mayweather may be on here, and looking at things, trying to get the best, one of the best boxing coaches there is out there, in Calvin. And I see where it's going both ways, and also see where the big ticket payday could be made in here, and we all eating it up. So that's what I had to say about it. Y'all let me know what y'all think. Give me some more insight and some more knowledge about the sport of boxing. I want y'all to give me two names from every weight class that I need to go doing research on. Let me know down in the comments. Peace out, y'all. Another Truck and Chubby production.